Hey everyone, it's John, and today we're going to continue back on the CCNP based switched video series. And in this video, we're going to be looking at Etherchannels. So much like the previous video on VTP, Etherchannels is very much a continuation of a CCNA level subject. If you've done the CCNA, you'll be very familiar with what Etherchannels are. So in this video, what I'm going to do is do a brief kind of overview, kind of simple remediation, and then maybe talk about some of the more advanced features about the kind of load balancing, and then just go into some straight configuration because there's not much more to it. Okay, doke. So with that, let's start. Okay, so what I'm going to do to begin is just do a very kind of simple diagram, and let's just start with, let's make it really simple. Two switches, okay? Switch 1 and switch 2. And let's say we've got a link connecting them here. Now straight away, this works fine, okay? We can transmit traffic, everything's all good, but in the event that that link fails, we have no connectivity, okay? So you might think, let's add some redundancy. So we do that, okay? We add some redundancy. But now, if you remember from your spanning tree studies, we have now introduced a loop into the network. So what spanning tree protocol is going to do, therefore, it is going to actually block one of these links. So now, we can only transmit data through one of the links. And okay, if that link fails, then we do have some backup because the other one can then kick in. But as it stands, let's say two of these links are 10 gig links, okay? We've basically got a 10 gig link sitting idle doing nothing. That's not very good, it's not very desirable. So what we can actually do, okay, we can actually make one of these into we can rather make the link into an Etherchannel, which effectively bundles each of the links together as two separate physical links to act as one logical port, okay? So now we don't have the spanning tree blocking coming in because this is just seen as one kind of logical link. There's no loop, it's just traffic goes up, traffic goes back. Do you know what I mean? And it's not two independent links that can circle round and circle round. It's just a simple, it's almost just like a simple tube. Traffic goes from switch 1 to switch 2, no problem. Okay, doke. So that's the first thing. So we get that redundancy, and obviously because we're using more than one link, we actually get an increase in bandwidth. Now this can be a very kind of cost effective technique to increase your throughput, because it might not be very feasible for you to upgrade your entire network to, I don't know, buy 10 gig links and whatnot. It might be cheaper for you to add multiple 1 gig links and bundle them together into a port channel, okay? So port channels give us this kind of flexibility to increase bandwidth but also save costs, so it's quite a good thing to do. But what I want to talk about first is that whilst we do get this combination of bandwidth and we bundle the channels together logically to act as one, it's not quite the same as having a genuine one link that is, say, 10 gig or 2 gig. Now what do I mean by that? So what I mean is we're using a load balancing algorithm. Do you know what? It's actually better if I just draw this. It makes it a little bit simpler actually. So let's just go back to the drawing and we'll say we've got our switch 1 again and switch 2, right? And we've got multiple links. So let's say we bundle them into 4 links acting as one logical port, one Etherchannel, okay? What's going to happen is Etherchannel is effectively going to use a load balancing algorithm, okay? And it's going to be specifying things like what is the source port, source MAC address, source IP address, destination IP address, so on and so forth. And when it does that, it's going to use that to hash that value and assign it to a number. Now Etherchannel can have numbers 0 through 7, so effectively we get 8 channels. This is why you want to have a maximum of 8. And because of that, each link is going to be assigned one of these numbers. So let's say link 1 is going to be assigned 0 to 1, link 2 is going to be 2 to 3, let's get a bit tight here. Link 3 rather, is going to have 4 to 5, and the last one is going to have 6 and 7. So if let's say you've got a server sending, a server's connected here. If the switch determines that the server, we're using the server's MAC address, which may be A, B, 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 C, 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 C. It's going to then hash it and give it one of these values, okay? So let's say it comes out and the algorithms decide that if we get sent from this MAC address, we're going to give it the value of 1, which means it's going to go across this port here, okay? Let me just highlight that. Because the values of 0 and 1 are going to go across here, okay? Now, if this server is sending a lot of traffic, what might happen is a lot of the traffic just continually goes across this one link. So it's really quite asymmetric, because imagine if this server was the only thing sending and it was sending 100 gigs of data across. Effectively, all it's going to do is use this one link. It's just going to go across this end link here, see this one here? Because the hashing algorithm is going to say, this is number 1, therefore it's going to go between 0 and 1, which is our link here on the left. Now, if we happen to have lots of different devices sending, then perhaps we could get the total throughput of the bundled links. Let's say each black link here was 10 gigs. Okay, we're not going to get this combined 40 gigs because there's 4 links for this one server. The server's only going to get a portion. It's only going to get a physical link. So we're still kind of limited by the physical bandwidth, the physical port speed, when it comes to sending single traffic from a single device perhaps. If we're sending lots of traffic from lots of different sources, lots of different MAC addresses, then perhaps we can get close to that bundled, grouped bandwidth. But as it stands, it's not the same as, say for example, do you know what, let me just clear this off. If you recall configuring Multilink point-to-point, so if I did draw a router here, R1 and R2 over here, and let's say we had, just for simplicity, 1 here and 1 here, and let's say both of these links, just for simplicity, were a gig each, okay? Now, in the case of Multilink point-to-point, you actually have a true kind of bandwidth aggregation here. You really do get 2 gig throughput here, even if it's one server, okay, sending to the same server here, you will get that 2 gig throughput because it's done in the iOS, okay? It's done in the router and the software. That is capable of actually fragmenting the packet up and sending it across both links, okay? So it's completely fine, we can do that. In the case of our switching, however, it's done in the hardware, the ASICs, which is kind of limited. It's very fast, but it's not quite as intelligent as the Cisco iOS. So what we're using is this hashing algorithm. So what I want to say just about that as well before I move on to the configuration is that if we go back to our switches, okay, and we'll draw in our 4 links. Let's say this is 1 gig, 1 gig, 1 gig, and 1 gig. And like I said, with Etherchannel, that to get this kind of 4 gigabits, pseudo 4 gigabits, it kind of can be, kind of isn't, depending on what's sending to who. Now, what I want to make a point of is that, like I say, the hashing algorithm will dictate each link will get a certain number. So like I said, we've got 4 links here, so this link in the left will be 0 to 1, this one here will get 2 to 3, this one here will get 4 to 5, and this one here will get 6 to 7. Okay, so if the hashing algorithm determines that this traffic path is number 6 up, it's going to send over this physical link. If the next bit of traffic decides it's number 2, it's going to send it over this link here because this is 2 to 3, so on and so forth. But what I want to really kind of impress upon you is that it's important to actually configure these in powers of 2. Now the reason being is that let's say the link on the right here happens to fail. Okay, this one breaks down. What's going to happen is, see this link here? This is also going to get the traffic for 4 to 5, which it already has, and it's going to take 6 to 7. Okay, now what does that mean in terms of your traffic load? Well, think about it, okay? What we're not getting, let me just clear this again. What we're not getting is one link with 33% bandwidth, one link with 33% bandwidth, and one link here with 33% bandwidth. It's not going to balance it that way. What we're going to get is this link here is going to get 25, this one's going to get 25, and this one here, because it's taken over for the other one, is actually going to get 50, so it could be completely asymmetric. So be aware of that. It's actually good practice to configure these in bundles of 2, 2, 4, 8. And if you get a link which fails, so say you had 4 and it breaks, so you're now running over 3, try and repair it as fast as possible to get it back to 4, just to kind of help spread out the traffic across all these links to try to really get full utilization of this bundled bandwidth. Because like I say, it's not true load balancing in the sense that you get with multi-point, multi-link point-to-point. So you have to be aware of that, okay? So the next thing which I want to do is just discuss about the forms of Etherchannel you can get. So as you can see from the topology, we actually have at the top here, up here, we've actually got a layer 3 link. Now you can actually do this, you can configure Etherchannel in layer 3, and the rest of them here, all the blue links, are layer 2. So be aware, you can have Etherchannel layer 3 and layer 2. Now there's 3 distinct modes which you can configure Etherchannel in. You can configure it to be statically on, which means that there is no kind of negotiating protocol. You just hard code it one side, I'm going to be an Etherchannel. The other side says I'm going to be Etherchannel. Because they're both doing that, we can actually form that Etherchannel. The second 2 are negotiation protocols, and now the first one, PAGP or PAGP, is Port Aggregation Protocol. This is a Cisco proprietary protocol, and it uses 2 modes called auto and desirable. The next one, LACP, Link Aggregation Control Protocol, is the one you're more likely to see. This is the open standard and it's very, very common. It also has 2 modes. It's got active and passive. Now, PAGP and LACP, they pretty much act the same, but I would encourage you to use LACP pretty much because it's the open standard and it's where you're going to see it. Like I say, it's actually better to use a negotiating protocol and to hard code it at both sides. So LACP is really the one you're going to be looking at. Now what I want to do is just kind of draw an analogy to help you understand what these modes are with auto desirable and active passive. So if you've got a husband or a wife, or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or even just a friend which you do a lot of activities with, you might have found yourself in this type of situation. Let's say you're wanting to watch something on Netflix and you say to your partner, I don't care, but I'll watch anything. And they say, well, I'll watch anything, I don't care. And you say, well, no, you choose, I don't care. And they say, no, you choose, I don't care. What happens is nothing happens. Nobody gets anywhere or going out for a meal. What do you want to eat? I'll eat whatever you want to have. No, you choose. No, you choose. That is quite analogous to PAGP auto mode and LACP passive mode. Okay, so effectively, auto and PAGP and passive and LACP is the passive member of the relationship. They'll pretty much do anything so long as the other person decides, okay? So long as the other person is assertive and makes a point, something will happen. If both parties, both ends of the connection, are both passive or both auto, nothing's going to happen. So if we have a switch, okay? Let's just draw this again. All right. Switch. Okay, and this one here is auto, and this one here is auto. We're running PAGP here, of course. Then no Etherchannel is going to form because nothing's going to happen. We need someone to be assertive. So in the event that switch 2 is desirable, that's assertive. That's a case of somebody saying, what do you want to watch on Netflix? And the person says, I want to watch The Irishman. Now we're watching The Irishman. Something has been negotiated, okay? So if we're being someone is being desirable and one is being auto, then that's fine. We can have the PAGP link up. Similarly, if we have both people being desirable and desirable, then we're also going to establish a link. Someone says, I want to watch The Irishman, I want to watch The Irishman, let's go and do it, and we're watching The Irishman. We're actually doing something, okay? The same thing when it comes to LACP. If we've got 2 switches, switch 1, switch 2, if both are passive, I better draw the ether channel here actually. If both are passive, then nothing's going to happen. We're going to say, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? We're going to get nowhere. If switch 1 is passive, it says, I don't care, what do you want to do? But switch 2 is active. It says, I want to form an ether channel. We're going to therefore do something and form that ether channel. We'll form that LACP. Likewise, if we have two switches for LACP and both are active, okay, we're going to also establish the ether channel because we're actually got active sides try to participate and get that done. Now, like I say, if you're using LACP active, it's fine. If you're using LACP active-passive, that is also fine. In LACP, you can't go passive-passive, nothing's going to happen. In PagP, you can have both sides be desirable, that's fine. You can have one side be auto and the other side be desirable, that's fine. You'll get your PagP link up. But if both sides are auto, nothing's going to happen. And similarly, if you've got the last analogy I want to draw, switch 1 and switch 2, and let's say switch 1 is configured for desirable. Okay, so that's a PagP setting. And switch 2 is configured for active. That is an LACP. Okay, despite the fact that both are quite keen to have a negotiation, they're effectively talking two different languages. PagP might be speaking in French and LACP might be speaking in English. One's saying hello, one's saying bonjour. They can't talk to each other and negotiate an actual agreement because they're speaking different languages. Okay, so LACP, PagP, they cannot be bundled together. They're completely separate protocols. Okay, so that's the basic kind of overview of the actual negotiation part of that. So like I say, let's move to the configuration. Now what I want to just point out is that for the actual ether channel to form, some things need to match. We need to have the duplex settings to match on both sides, the speed must match, and the VLAN information must match. What doesn't need to match is the group numbers. They're actually local to the switch. But what, as you can see here, is that, for example, switch 1 and switch 3 here, this group 2, just for best practice, it's kind of common to have the group match on both sides. It keeps it easy for troubleshooting, it keeps it neater, but it doesn't actually have to match. And I'll show you that in the configuration. So with that, let's kick on and just do some configuration then. So we'll start with switch 1 first. And here's a tip as well. See when you're configuring ether channels, shut down the physical ports till both sides are ready to form that ether channel. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll do configure terminal, and we've got gigabit 01 and 02 here, so I'll do int range gig 02 to 3 and just shut that down straight away. Keeps it really simple. Okay, now what we need to do is specify that we want the link to trunk, so switch port mode trunk. Okay, and the next thing is we're going to specify our channel, so channel group, and specify the number. Now the number we're going to be using is group 2. Again, this is local to the switch, but it doesn't matter. And PagP, we can have auto desirable, so this side will do mode desirable. Okay, now I need to go into the port channel which I've created. It's created a channel 2 after the group number. I'm going to do int port 2. Now, you might not need to do this command. This is switch port trunk encapsulation .1q, because on viral we can have ISL and .1q. Perhaps you don't need to do that, but you will need to do switch port mode trunk. Now that's that done, and let's move on to the next side. So we did desirable this side. We'll do either desirable or auto here. As long as both sides are not auto, we're fine. So what I'll do is I'll just do the auto on this side. Okay, so conf t int range gig 0 to 3. Shut the port down straight up, shut down. Okay, switch port mode trunk, and do channel group 2 mode, and we'll do auto this time. We'll go interface port 2, switch port trunk encapsulation .1q, switch port mode trunk. There we go. Now what I need to do is bring up my physical interfaces again. So int range gig 02 to 3, and we'll do a no shut here and go to the other side. And we'll do int range gig 02 to 3, and we'll no shut that. And what should happen is our port channel should appear rather. There we go, port channel is up. And the way to check that is do a show Etherchannel summary. And these are the two letters which you want to see. SU, S denotes that is a layer 2, which you can see over here, layer 2. And the U means it's in use, okay? So SU means layer 2 and it's in use. That's good, that's what we want. We can see the protocol is being negotiated as PIP because we use auto desirable. And these are the local ports which we've got configured in that channel 2 and 3, okay? So that's PIP for that one. This one here, switch 3, will make this a static. Okay, so we'll just hard code it with on, no negotiating protocol. So again, same process, int range, gigabit 10 to 1, shut the port down, switch port mode trunk, let that go down, and we'll do a channel group, and we're calling this group number 3, and just do mode on, okay? Int port 3, switch port trunk encapsulation.1q, switch port mode trunk, that's that. And we'll do the mirror over here. I'm to enable int range gig 10 to 1, shut this down. Let that come down. And we'll do switch port mode trunk. And we'll do channel group 3 mode on. Int port 3. Switch port trunk encapsulation.1q, switch port mode trunk, and then we can go back to the physical interfaces and bring them back up. So int range gig 10 to 1, and we'll no shot that. Pull this over here, do the same here. Int range gig 10 to 1, no shut. Our port channel should come up. There we go. And again, same command, show Etherchannel summary. And we can see that channel 3, port 3, is SU again, layer 2, and it's in use. But you'll notice the protocol, we don't have a protocol, it wasn't negotiated, it was hard coded. And here we've got our local ports which are connected in that channel of group 3. Okay, so let's go across to switch 4. Now what I'm going to do with switch 4 is I'm actually going to use a mismatch in the group number, so as you can see that we can still form the channel. So we'll do int range gig 10 to 1 on this one, and we'll shut the interface down. There we go, switch port mode trunk, and we'll do a channel group 4 mode on, okay, int port 4, switch port trunk encapsulation.1q, switch port mode trunk. Okay, so this one was number 4. On this side here, we'll make it group 6, just so you can see it doesn't need to match on both sides, even though it is good practice to do so. Int range gig 10 to 1, shut the port down. And we'll do switch port mode trunk, channel, group, and we'll call it group 6. Again, mismatch, the other side's 4, and we'll do mode on. We go into interface port 6, and we'll do switch port trunk encapsulation .1q, switch port mode trunk, and then we'll bring up the physical interface yet again. So int range gig 10 to 1, and we'll no shut that. And we'll do this here. Int range gig 10 to 1. And we'll no shut that as well. So like I say, on this side it's going to be port channel 4 comes up. There we go. And show Etherchannel summary. And you can see that it's actually in use, it's up. Okay, protocol is not negotiated, but it's port 4 on this side, it's up. But on this side it's going to be port 6. It doesn't matter if it doesn't match, you see. Show Etherchannel sum. And this side is up again, but it's port 6. Okay, so let's do a LACP one. We'll do up here, so gig 0. So we'll do int int range gig 02 to 3, shut the port down. Switch port mode trunk, and we'll do channel group. What's the number we're using this time? We'll use 5, so channel group 5, and we'll do active. Int port 5, switch port trunk encapsulation.1q, switch port mode trunk. So we've got active on this side, we'll do passive on this side. Int range gig 02 to 3, I believe that is. Yep, shut it down. Switch port mode trunk, and we'll do channel group 5 mode active. So we're doing active on this side. Int port 5, switch port trunk encapsulation.1q, switch port mode trunk, and then go into the physical interfaces. Bring them back up. Int range gig 02 to 3, and no shut that. And our port channel 5 should come up, negotiated with LACP. Here we go. Show ether. And this time we've got port channel 5, SU switch up, and we're using LACP this time. So that was active. And the last one I'm going to do is going to be the layer 3 one. It's going to be using LACP, but we're going to use active and passive this time. So what I need to do is slightly different here. Go into the interface and do int range gig 00 to 1, shut the port down again. But what I'm going to do this time, rather than make it a trunk port, I'm going to do no switch port, okay? So it's no longer a switch port. Now what I'm going to do next is do channel group, and this is group 1, and we'll do active this side, and we'll create a port channel. So int port 1, we're going to also no switch port this, and what we're going to do is configure an IP address on it, a physical IP address. So 1.1, and just give it a /32 mask. No shut. Okay. And this side here again. Int range gig 0 up to 1, shut the port down, no switch port it. Okay. And we'll do channel group 1 mode, and we'll do passive this time, okay? Int port 1 and no switch port, IP address 192.168.1.2, and we'll no shut that. And now we need to go and actually bring up the physical interfaces again. Is that 0 to 1, I think? No shut that. Int range gig 0 to 1, no shut that. So now we should see an RU come up, because it should be a rooted ether channel, a layer 3 ether channel. Come to up, okay, so show ether. And this time you see RU, you see that? Because it's layer 3 this time. So LACP here, PAGP here, the top one was configured with active passive. The one down here, this LACP was active. Like I say, as long as one side is active or desirable, we're okay. As long as they're not both auto or passive. Now I'll just go to show you this rooted thing. So if I just do conf t, and like I say, we actually can form a EIGRP or OSPF, whatever our relationship over it. So put that up here and switch to, and we'll have this adjacency form over this layer 3 ether channel. No summary. There we go. Show IP EIGRP neighbor, and it's come up, and that's it. So that's pretty much ether channels. Like I say, they act as one logical port. It's not the same as having a full physical port of that bandwidth. You've got to be aware of the load balancing algorithm, but that's pretty much it. So that's the end of the video. Thanks very much, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.